Nigeria and France sign memorandum of understanding to develop joint projects.
President Bola Tinubu departs France Monday for Cape Town, South Africa, to co-chair the 11th session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission.
Vice President Kashim Shettima declares Armed Forces Games 2024 closed on behalf of President Tinubu.
This region and extending that effort across the continent.
And good morning, Nigeria. We shall review President Bola Tinubu's visit to France and also appraise 2024 Zuma International Film Festival.
President Bola Tinubu woos French investors to Nigeria's untapped agricultural sector and enjoins them to maximize Nigeria's warm investment climate.
As the President of France, President Macron, affirmed commitment to enhancing cooperation in food security, energy, solid minerals, education and defense.
The French-Nigeria Business Forum promises to invest more in food security in Nigeria.
And still talking about the Business Forum, the opening of the branches of Bank UBA and Zenith Bank in Paris, France, according to President Bola Tinubu, is a further testament to Nigeria's flourishing financial sector.
And also, President Bola Tinubu enjoined French investors to take advantage of Nigeria's vibrant, educated youth population and their disposition to be trained in various areas of entrepreneurship.
And he also told President Tinubu also invited French investors to explore opportunities that abound in our solid minerals sector here in Nigeria.
And on security, President Bola Tinubu solicited partnership to address challenges of migration.
While still talking security, President Macron also offered to support Nigeria in their fight against insurgency and the militia.
President Macron also calls for collaborative growth in creative industries and youth-focused initiatives.
Ademola, President Macron also assured of more investment in the solid minerals development after Nigeria Minister of Solid Minerals, Dele Alake, made a presentation at the summit.
Well, expectations are high following signing of different collaborations and agreements between Nigeria and France in course of President Bola Tinubu's state visit to France. I am Ademola Adioye. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Nigeria, the first in the month of December 2024.
And I'm Jumwa Yusuf. We have a second topic as we examine the 2024 Zuma Film Festival. Thanks for joining us on the first episode in December. We are broadcasting live on the network service of the NTA. We'll begin with highlights of the morning news and later newspaper review. But for now, let's join Stella Inamiti for the morning news. Hello, Stella.
Hello, Jumai and Ademola. Good morning. Yeah, thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Here is the news. Nigeria and France have signed a memorandum of understanding to develop joint projects to promote and diversify the critical minerals value chain in the solid minerals sector of both countries. In the memorandum of understanding signed by both countries on the sidelines of the official visit to France by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, both countries agreed to collaborate on research, training and Franco-Nigerian students' exchanges for knowledge and skills transfer. A key component of the MOU is the promotion of sustainable mining activities by executing projects and programs that reduce the environmental impact of mining on carbon emissions, water consumption and climate change. It also includes the establishment of joint excretive and processing projects through co-financing by public and private entities to diversify and secure the supply of critical minerals and decarbonize energy projects critical to the value chain. Dele Alake signed for Nigeria, while the interministerial delegate for critical ores and metals of the Republic of France, Benjamin Galzot, signed on behalf of France. The MOU is expected to open new opportunities for the remediation of over 2,000 abandoned pits in the country through its plan to intervene in environmental rehabilitation and post-mining projects. President Bola Tinubu is to leave France this Monday for Cape Town, South Africa, to co-chair the 11th session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission, BNC, alongside President Cyril Ramaphosa. The session, scheduled for Tuesday, December 3rd, will be preceded by a ministerial meeting today, December 2, 2024, at the South African Parliament building in Cape Town. President Tinubu and President Ramaphosa will engage in substantive talks on a wide range of issues of mutual interest, including bilateral, regional, and international matters, building on the commitments from their June 20, 2024 meeting in Johannesburg, shortly after President Ramaphosa's inauguration for a second term in office. The two leaders will review the progress achieved since the 10th session of the BNC held in Abuja from November 29 to December 1, 2021. The 11th session of the inauguration of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission will feature deliberations across 8 working groups, each focusing on a specific area of mutual interest. These include political consultations, consular and migration, banking and finance, defense and security, manufacturing, social sector, mines and energy, and trade and investments. A statement by the Presidential Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, indicates that at a high-level meeting, officials of both countries will sign several memoranda of understanding, MOUs, and agreements, and the National Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission was established in 1999 to further strengthen the ties of friendship and cooperation between the two countries. The exciting and entertaining 2024 Africa Military Games Abuja, which began 12 days ago, has ended in a grand closing ceremony with Nigeria's president represented by the Vice President Kashim Shettima. He extolled the sacrifice and spirit of African servicemen and women in keeping the continent safe. Nigeria emerged overall winners of the Games with a total of 234 medals.
As chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, I reiterate my unwavering commitment to stabilizing the sub-region and extending that effort across the continent. I also congratulate all delegates from the participating countries for their exemplary conduct and the immense display of sportsmanship.
I must emphasize that in these games, irrespective of ranking or position, every team is a winner.
The Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASUP, is set to commence a 2-week warning strike from today, December 2nd, 2024, in protest over what the union describes as unmet, long-standing demands. The decision follows a National Executive Council meeting held in Abuja, where leadership of the union frowns at negligence in addressing issues crucial to the welfare of polytechnic lecturers and institutions.
Assessment intervention funds for 2023. Appointment of a rector for Federal Polytechnic One has not been addressed despite our union's demand. Also, the appointment of rectors in the following institutions: Federal Polytechnic Damaturu, Federal Polytechnic Nasarawa, and Federal Polytechnic Oil and Gas Boni, have not been released, even though the process has since been concluded.
Kogi State Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo has sympathized with victims of the recent boat mishap that claimed the lives of some passengers who are indigenes of Kogi State. Governor Ododo, who expressed sadness over the boat accident, said he was particularly concerned that most of the victims were women, petty traders and artisans who are involved in legitimate business activities to earn a living and contribute to the economy of the state. The governor noted that the waterway linking Kogi and Niger states was becoming increasingly dangerous as a result of frequent boat accidents and called on relevant authorities to ensure that safety measures are put in place to minimize risks associated with water transportation in the country. Governor Ododo, who commended the National Inland Waterways Authority, NEWA, for its efforts in search and rescue operation, called for concerted efforts through interagency collaboration to prevent cases of waterways accidents and to enhance emergency response management. He commiserated with the families of those who lost their lives and assured that the government will support those injured in their recuperations. Gloriousness and wonders that resolve the birth of Jesus Christ and its essence on humanity resonated in songs, messages, and other colorful activities as the major national broadcasting houses in Nigeria, the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, and Voice of Nigeria, VON, co-organized another annual service of 9 lessons and carols at the National Christian Center, Abuja. This year's edition has the theme, Jesus, Our Victory.
They rejoice with the exceeding great joy.
Let us imbibe the spirit of Christmas, which is of love, of joy, of fellowship, and harmony with one another.
Jesus is our victory over sin, victory over self, victory over death, victory over Satan, but he's also victory over burdens.
And those are the news headlines. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Jumai and Ademola after the break.
Hassan, you know that buy something to eat. It's time for lunch, yo. Join us. Auntie Bola must start working. Hey, did you not see confidential there? I beg you. See, I don't joke with my food, though. I don't even joke with my personal information more. Things like your name, address, bank account details, and health records are all valuable. You need to be conscious about who has access to them and how they are used when you share them. Remember, if you're an organization that collects or processes personal information, then you are a data controller or processor, and you must register with the Nigerian Data Protection Commission and set up measures to safeguard personal information. And if you experience any data breach or misuse of your personal information, go and report to the NDPC. Beg, come on. You're not eating. Bala, we eat. Yeah, what? Oh, yeah, you come on.
NDPC, championing privacy rights.
As part of NNPC Limited's digital strategy, which seeks to enhance business capabilities, maximize competitiveness, and drive better performance, NNPC Limited will be transiting to a cloud-based procurement system on SAP Ariba network from the 1st of January 2025. To achieve a smooth changeover, our esteemed suppliers are advised to attend the NNPC Limited Suppliers Virtual Summit on Tuesday, the 3rd of December 2024. Time 10 a.m. To register, please visit www.nnpcgroup.com or send your inquiries to nnpcariba@nnpcgroup.com or call 0700 700 6672 between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. We look forward to doing business with you in the new era. NNPC Limited, energy for today, energy for tomorrow.
My champs, they use energy at school.
Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support energy release.
Milo! Unwrap joy, unleash taste.
Some say learning is fun, but as a mom, I see how demanding it can be for my child. That's why I ensure he starts every day with a cup of Bonvita. Bonvita, prepare them to win every day.
Nivea Dry Deodorant with 72-hour reliable odor protection from Dual Effect Formula for a dry and fresh skin feeling that gives you confidence every day. Nivea Dry is now available in 25 ml for 72-hour odor and sweat protection.
Our food, our health, our tomato paste. There is no tomato paste, the taste of Naija. There is no tomato paste, Kiahi. Bichiko tomato pesto, Tiwani. 100% natural tomato. Namunde, alelelelelele, oh, alelele, oh, ale. There is no tomato paste, the taste of Naija.
In a world hungry for goodness, with a splash of golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Make a lunch hour a happy hour. Change no thanks into yes please. Provide care when our nearest and dearest needs it most. And resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty, nourishing family meals is all that matters. The world needs moms, because where there are moms, there is hope, happiness, and love. Golden Terra Oil, for pure love.
Is the Zuma International Film Festival 2024. Theme, the Digital Renaissance, Embracing the Future. Date, from the 1st of December to the 5th of December 2024. Zuma Light Up Night at Jabi Lake Mall, Lakeside, Abuja, on Sunday 1st of December 2024 by 6 p.m. Film screenings at the Silverbird Cinemas, Jabi Lake Mall, Abuja, from the 2nd to 4th of December 2024. NFC Annual Lecture at the State House Banquet Hall, Abuja, on Tuesday 3rd of December 2024 by 10 a.m.
Master Classics and Panel Discussions
holds at Chida Event Center, Abuja, on Wednesday 4th December 2024 by 2 p.m. Film Market and Exhibition Expo and Emerging Talents showcase training programs for aspiring as well as practicing film professionals. And on Thursday, the 5th of December 2024 from 6 p.m. is a closing ceremony and the Zuma Award Night at Chida Event Center, Chida Hotel, Jabi, Abuja. Zuma International Film Festival, the Digital Renaissance, embracing the future.
You're welcome back, and it's time for newspaper review.
Our newspaper reviewer is here, Chukwudi Okoli Ugbaja. Chuks, good morning.
Nemo.
Good to see you.
I've stopped feeling stupid because you wouldn't believe what made me miss Friday.
What happened?
It's unspeakable.
What happened?
You don't say such things on the air. You're too voracious for information. You're a journalist. Jumai, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
News does not fail. Chukwudi failed on Friday.
No, you didn't fail. It happens. Let's quickly go to the review. Yeah, and we'll begin with the Nation newspaper. And above the masthead of the Nation newspaper, malaria vaccine for inauguration in 2 states today. Party leads team. You find the details on page 3. And below the masthead, the Nation shines at Dame Awards, page 3. Tinubu Ramaphosa for bi-national talks. You find that on page 5. By the side piece of the picture story, French investors to revive 2,000 abandoned mining pits in Nigeria. And you can see the picture story there. French President Emmanuel Macron, Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, President Bola Tinubu, First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and France First Lady Brigitte Macron at the signing of a memorandum of understanding for development of solid minerals during President Tinubu's visit to France over the weekend. And the headlines in the Nation newspaper: minimum wage strike call sparks states labor with workers down tools in Kaduna, Ebonyi, Nasarawa, FCT, and no strike in Oyo, Ekiti, Abia, Imo, and others. At the bottom plate of the Nation newspaper: consumer rights violation, FCCPC to engage bank, telco, airline. You find all the details on page 5. Let's quickly go to the Vanguard newspaper. And above the Vanguard newspaper, how Nigeria struggles to raise crude oil production. That's coming from an investigation with a rider. 2024 average condensate output falls 11.6% to 211.401 barrel per day. 2,775 farmer health crisis resolved in 9 Taraba Adama local government, says IMO. And post-civil war, Gowon telling many lies against Ojukwu, says Ono. And the headlines in the Vanguard newspaper: Port Harcourt refinery, tanker drivers at war over delay in product loading, with riders only NNPC trucks loading petroleum products. You are economical with the truth, Nupeng insists. We will patronize all refineries, that's Meman. We have submitted application, Patron. We look forward to lifting from Port Harcourt refinery, that's coming from Ipman. And the side piece of the picture story: Nigerians were living fake lives before now, that's coming from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You find the details on page 10. Hardship: Nigerians in urban areas now use firewood, charcoal for cooking. Details on page 7. Minimum wage: Labour to sanction councils that defy directive. You find details on page 8. I never knew Gowon asked Abacha not to kill me. That's coming from former President Olusegun Obasanjo. And tax reform bills: amid rising opposition, state stakeholders prepare positions. Details on page 33. And in sports, international friendly, France coach applauds Nadoze. Find all the details on page 37.
All right, I have the Daily Trust newspaper, and just below the nameplate, we have 2027 Atiku Obi's Pali in Yola reignites merger permutations. Details on page 12. Then we have the major headlines, which reads CBN to retire 1,000 staff, offers 50 billion payoff. And they are offering me 97 million for 4 years service, and 17 sacked directors yet to be replaced. Details of that story can be found on page 4. And then we have the black strips, which reads federal government begins malaria vaccination for children today. Details on page 4. Minimum wage: states raise to beat NLC deadline. Page 6, the details. Obasanjo to Gowon: I never knew you asked Abacha not to kill me. Experts differ on impact of Tinubu tax reform on North. Details on page 23. Chooks.
Yeah, Demola, I want to start on a very positive note. There is nothing that is intractable or insoluble. If I hear that 2,775 farmer herder crises have been resolved, it makes me happy. It tells you that people can actually dialogue and put to bed, lay to bed, those issues which are usually artificial. They are fanned. Those embers are fanned by people who do not have very good intentions, those who profit from an unsettled situation between individuals or among individuals. So I'm very happy that the International Organization for Migration, IML, is saying that up to 2,775, the farmer herder crisis resolved in 9 Taraba, Adamawa local government areas. Let us encourage such a thing.
It's always good to Georgia.
I actually tell people that The farmers and herders, where I do a little farm, live a symbiotic life. You actually pay the herders to allow the cattle to, stay in the next place you're farming, maybe in the next 18 months. Because when they drop the feces,
it's manure, natural.
No fertilizer does better than it. So they can actually live a life that, wash my back, I wash your back.
Give and
as we
take.
used to.
That was how it used to be before.
That was how we were.
We were, yes.
Till external elements, people with no good intentions started poisoning the minds of Nigerians against Nigerians. That's not how it should be. What are they talking about concerning loading at the Port Harcourt refinery? Tanker drivers are said to be at war over delaying product loading. And the people in charge there say that they are ready for products to be loaded, not just one product. It's not just PMS. Well, the one thing that happens or has happened is that the suspicion that it was all a farce, it seems to have been doused. It seems really that there are real products there. Nigeria became fertile ground for gossip, PSA, and all that. Nobody seems to trust anybody anymore.
At all.
And that's not how it should be. So
you wouldn't actually blame them. This issue of the refinery coming, into operation has been on for a while now.
I know.
So because of that,
exactly,
you can allow for a little bit of.
It led to.
So until they see the practicality of it, that
seeing is believing.
Seeing is believing.
But remember that the holy books will tell you that faith is everything.
Well, that is.
It depends.
It depends.
Where it's applied.
Circumstance determines it. Another one that interests me here, 2,000 abandoned mining pits in Nigeria to be revived in an agreement between France and Nigeria. And good old Jaws comes to my mind immediately. You remember Demola, we're of the same epoch, era, so to speak, when they were talking about bauxite, tin mines of Jaws and all that. But the real thing is this. I talked to a lady who works for the solid minerals ministry. I said, when are we going to meet? She said, I don't know when the minister is coming back, so I cannot tell you what my time is like. Something is happening in the solid mineral sector. We should have started happening a long time ago. That sector is going to yield money you never thought existed there. Actually, some people will tell you that part of what fueled banditry was illegal mining and all that. I think better days are coming. Remember we sang that song when President Tinubu
Better days are here.
Better days are here already. I don't know. I am an incurable optimist. It's my nature. Some people accuse me of trying to put a shine on everything in life. It's not my fault. It's the way I'm made. But I think that this country, if it learns to have faith in itself, there is life in abundance for this country ahead. Let us learn to believe.
Yeah, let us learn to believe in our leaders.
I hope my ecclesiastical stance has, exonerated me from the stupid absence on Friday.
Come on, kids, don't go back to that. It's human. It happens. At times you beat yourself when you make such mistakes, but
thank you.
Only human,
Thank you so much.
And they say hardship. Nigerians in urban areas now use firewood, charcoal for cooking because gas is actually.
The evil we do not tackle now is going to haunt us later. The desert is coming more and more by our attitude.
Yes.
I am one of those who think that government should still subsidize a few things, if only to preserve the environment. Farming is subsidized. Agricultural products are subsidized in the US. A pint of milk remains almost the price it was some 10 years ago. That stability was assured by the fact that government subsidizes, dairy, farming products and all that. I think we should do something about the exorbitant price of gas to preserve our environment. The desert is moving towards the Niger. People do not think it's happening. It is happening.
It's happening.
The heat will be more this dry season, when we get into March and April, I'm not a meteorologist.
When I watch documentaries on climate change at times on Azira, it scares me.
It scares me. That is why it scares me more when I remember that Donald Trump will be president from January 20 or thereabouts.
Leave Donald Trump alone.
He does not believe that the environment is
all right. Okay. Okay, Chooks. Thank you so much for coming this morning.
Thank you.
We'll now take a break. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
My champs, they use energy at school.
Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support energy release. Milo!
TerraCube. Unwrap joy. Unleash taste.
In a world hungry for goodness, with a splash of golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Make a lunch hour a happy hour. Change no thanks into yes please. Provide care when our nearest and dearest needs it most. And resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty, nourishing family meals is all that matters. The world needs moms, because where there are moms, there is hope, happiness, and love. Golden Terra Oil, or pure love.
At break time, when my champ needs to keep going, he's going to need his favorite snack, containing calcium, iron, and fiber.
Milo Snacks, snack of future champions.
Milo! Nivea Pearl and Beauty Deodorant. With natural pearl extracts and avocado oils for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. The perfect balance of 48-hour protection and care with delicate fragrances. Feel the power of pearls. Nivea Pearl and Beauty for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. Try our new Pearl and Beauty Black Pearl for smooth and perfumed underarms.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables, and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipments will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
For a certain period of time, shouts of joy and faces of defeat punctuate the daily activities of NEWI. The reason? The Kingsley Obiuku Foundation Unity Cup 2024.
The vision behind the Unity Cup was simply community development and looking at creative ways in which we can reduce the current high crime rates in NEWI South.
This year's tournament brings together the towns of Amici, Azibu, Ekulumiri, Osumeyi, Ukpo, Akuihedi, Ebenato, Esinifite, Unubi, and Otu. I feel happy, I feel excited. The foundation's efforts remind us that with vision and dedication, local initiatives can create lasting positive change across Africa and beyond. Join us. Let us move forward together.
You're welcome back and you're watching Good Morning Nigeria. And just before we bring in our guest into the conversation, let's bring you this background report by Timothy Yusuf.
President Bola Tinubu's just-ended state visit to France on the invitation of President Emmanuel Macron is a wake-up call on the international investors, particularly from France, to explore Nigeria's untapped opportunities in food security, solid minerals, energy, and education. Many believe that the visit drew up Nigeria's agricultural potentials and invited French businesses to join initiatives aimed at bolstering food security. Furthermore, with Nigeria's financial sector also believed to be evolving and flourishing, grounds are being created for investment in Nigeria's economy for French nationals. With President Tinubu's assurances that the government is working to ensure stability and economic growth for foreign direct investment, highlighting the broader vision of combating hunger, untapped opportunities in solid minerals and energy, called for collaborative efforts to unlock Nigeria's solid mineral sector. With numerous bilateral agreements signed by both countries, President Tinubu tied education reforms to national development, urging French collaboration to enhance skills training for Nigeria's youth. On regional security, President Tinubu called for collective action against terrorism, highlighting the importance of Nigeria-France cooperation in addressing migration challenges and bolstering peace across West Africa. President Emmanuel Macron described Tinubu's visit as pivotal to advancing bilateral relations, emphasizing France's commitment to collaborative growth in sectors such as solid minerals and creative industries. In the meantime, President Tinubu's visit to France underscores Nigeria's ambition to attract foreign investments while addressing critical challenges in food security, education, and regional stability. With growing international partnerships, the country is positioning itself as a key player in Africa's economic transformation. This collaborative approach with France, coupled with domestic reforms, is expected to create opportunities that will benefit Nigeria's vibrant and youthful population. Good Morning Nigeria today will x-ray Nigeria's gain from the state visit to France.
Thank you so much, Timothy Yusuf, for that report. And now joining us in the studio for a review of President Bola Tinubu's state visit to France is Professor Abiodun Adeni. He's the Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, Bayes University, Abuja. He's a regular on Good Morning Nigeria when we're discussing issues like this. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good Morning Nigeria.
Also joining us from the United States of America is Ambassador Dauda Danladi, former Nigeria High Commissioner to Pakistan. You are welcome, Ambassador.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Also joining us from Paris, France, is Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media, Tunde Rahman, via Zoom. Tunde Rahman, you are welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. Okay. I think we're still trying to get a clearer picture from Tunde Rahman. Let's start with, Professor. Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, can you just, give us a brief overview of the president's visit to France?
Well, any kind of international visits, visits between states, speaks to bilateral cooperation. And when we have
a country like France and Nigeria. Obviously, France, like we know, if I'm not mistaken, is the third strongest economy in Europe, the seventh in the world, an illustrious country. Industrialized, no doubt. Very prominent for so many kinds of businesses and investments. Aviation is there, agriculture, minerals, and education and style, and of course they have a robust culture. If we have opportunity to partner with them, considering the quest, for investment, for development, of course, should embrace it. And I think it is in that spirit that our president accepted the state visit. But again, we know that this state visit is not just the first one. We've had one there was one that the president made to India, and we had it reciprocated, when President Narendra Modi visited us the other day. And of course, we had so many kinds of shuttles like that the president has been doing, consistent with the drive for foreign investment, which is okay, is another, but the other thing we also need to ask is that we should find a way to balance this quest for foreign investment with our own system, with local production and manufacturing, considering how internal arrangements, internal prospecting can be helpful to development. If we complement that with expectations for foreign support in the form of investment, of course, it's also something that will be welcomed or welcoming, something that will be salutary and will be helpful to our desire, not just to get out of the economic woods we are presently in, but of course to make progress as a nation. So no ideal underdeveloping or developing country like Nigeria, we shy away from bilateral relationship in the way that our president is doing. But we also know, that we are sandwiched among francophone countries, and of course France is losing influence. Its interest is declining in some of these francophone countries, particularly those of the Sahel. So they are looking for new partners. So what's going to be our relationship partnering with France? Is it going to be an equal relationship or an unequal one? Obviously, we know it's going to be unequal, but it is not all unequal relationships that are disadvantageous. Some can be beneficial, but how we turn this around, how we make this happen, will also depend on the dexterity of our foreign policy going forward.
Okay, thank you so much for your opening comment there. We'll continue to go deeper as the program progresses. Now, let's bring in the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media. Tunde Rahman is joining us via Zoom from France. Mr. Tunde, if you can hear me, you've listened to Professor Abiodun Adeni's opening comments there. Now, you have been on ground throughout the state visit by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to France. Can you give us a breakdown of what went down during the visit? And because we hear that there are a lot of talks about education, security, agriculture and all that, just give us a breakdown of what actually went down during the state visit.
Thank you very much. Let me be sure that you are getting me well first. Are you getting me well?
I'm getting you well.
Thank you very much. First, from the get-go, the importance of this high-profile visit by Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on the invitation of the French President, Emmanuel Macron, had been clear, and the issues to be addressed were also clear. I say this because there was an op-ed, an editorial that was put out by the two leaders even before the conference. And in that editorial, they spoke of, their readiness to collaborate on issues and challenges affecting their two countries. For instance, issues on having education for all, universal, stronger health system, and the issue of sustainable, and legal, pathway for migration, as well as, getting a just representation for Africa at the Security Council. So from the word go, the agenda was so clear: address the issues of climate change, instability in the Sahel region, and the express commitment to stand by this, to address this debate. Hello? Uh-huh. So from the get-go, the agenda was so clear. And the two leaders also, reaffirm their commitment to addressing these issues as equal partners on the basis of the strategic economies of each of the two countries, in their bilateral agreements. So it was so clear. And what came to fore, right from the very moment the president arrived at the Orly airport, is the power of friendship. You see Macron, who had been, friend with President Tinubu right from the time he was in Nigeria. About the time the president was governor of Lagos State. So he rolled out the drums, roll out the proverbial red carpet to receive the president on arrival on Wednesday, November 27. The elite Republican Guard, were on stand. And then the next day again, Mr. President and his wife were also received in a similar fashion by the military with full honors. So it was so clear that that visit was important to President Macron, as it was also important to President Tinubu. So from there they went to sign an agreement. The agreement are in the areas of addressing insecurity, ensuring education for all, and in order to further investment in agric. There were certain clear benefits from this trip. You recall that about the time the visit took place, you also had two key banks in Nigeria, also having their signing agreement, for the operation. Particularly, the Zenith began operations in Paris about that time, while the Zenith Bank, while the UBA also signed agreement, to make banking operation about that time. So it was very instructive. And you have the Franco-Nigeria, which also talks about, actualizing investment opportunities in Nigeria. This business council had most of our business leaders in Nigeria in attendance. People like Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Alhaji Samar Rabiu, Mr. Tony Elumelu, Jim Hoover, with their counterpart, from France. And the critical takeaway is that rather than continue to, doing trade in Nigeria, they want to move to value addition in the areas of agriculture, addition in the area of oil and gas, and all of that. So for me, it was a hugely successful trip. And I recall the point that Professor Adeniji made there, which is that this visit also came in the background of the fact that you had France, who was already having declining, whose influence was already declining in the French-speaking, African countries, now trying to turn over to the English-speaking. And Nigeria is very pivotal in this area. So everything went well for Nigeria, and the visit, was very, very strategic, and it came out, successfully. In fact, a lot of people said said to us in France that no president of from Africa, or even from part of Europe, has ever been received in an elaborate manner in which President Macron, received his first. So it's clear that there was power of friendship, and there was also the need to further their relationship, business relationship, trade relationship between the two countries as equal partners. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tunde Rahman, for giving us a comprehensive overview of the president's visits there. The power of friendship, which is translating to a better and greater bilateral relations between the two countries. Now, let's go to Ambassador Danladi via Zoom from the United States. Ambassador, you have listened to the two guests earlier on. I just want to find out from you, what does President Tinubu's visit to France signify for Nigeria's bilateral relations with France, when we consider how that relationship can be strengthened that can strengthen Nigeria's relationship in the future?
Thank you very much for this question. But before I answer your question, I would like to just make a general observation that today the global geopolitical situation has become more complex and in certain cases volatile. You are aware of the wars in Europe between Ukraine and Russia, the conflict in the Middle East, the wars in Africa, and of course the insecurity in the Sahel. All these have contributed in shrinking the volume of trade between nations. In addition, there is now the emergence of new alliances that are raising their voices against the world order, challenging the status quo, challenging the global financial institutions that have really contributed in stultifying development in African countries. And I think it is against this background that the president, upon assumption of office, based on my humble observation, embarked on an aggressive drive to attract foreign direct investment. Now, a cursory analysis, quick cursory analysis. In October, the scorecard was that Nigeria, the effort of Mr. President, has attracted about 30 billion US dollars to Nigeria. And some skeptics and some pundits have observed that, let's see it, where are the tangibles? Where are the jobs that have been created? Why is it that our currency is still being devalued? And I took the time to find out this $30 billion claim by the government, in which area? And I realized, if you look at the records, that it is true that ExxonMobil, for example, is investing $10 billion in the economy to expand its deep water oil production. Indorama is investing about $8 billion US dollars to expand its petrochemical industry and fertilizer. Fertilizer being a major component in agricultural development. The annual requirement is about 3 million tons of fertilizer in Nigeria. Jandil Steel is investing about $3 billion for steel production. And of course, the Africa Import and Export Bank is making available the sum of 3.5 billion to revitalize our cotton and textile industries. And I think these are commendable steps that have been achieved by Mr. President within the past 15 months. Now, coming back to the observations that have been made by Dr. Tunde Rahman and, of course, the professor, I would say that, yes, Nigeria enjoys a robust relationship with Nigeria. Of course, Nigeria is the largest trading partner with France, Sub-Saharan Africa. Nigeria is also the fourth largest trading partner with France and the African continent. However, there are some apprehensions looking at the historical performance of France and the colonies. And we should also be mindful that these countries are our neighbors and who have been contributing in fighting the menace of terrorism, especially in the Northeast. I'm referring to the multinational joint task force. Nevertheless, the strategy and the visit of the president is timely because, as has been pointed out, France's influence in the colonies, former colonies, is waning down. And of course, the French president has also mounted an aggressive drive to attract foreign countries between 2017, 2018. He was in Nigeria, he was in Ethiopia, he was in South Africa. English-speaking countries to try to get them on board, because one thing that is very clear, the West cannot survive without the raw materials coming from African countries. And therefore, I strongly believe that this visit is strategic, and it is my hope that the deals that have been signed, especially the infrastructural development deal. Let me just quickly remind us that Peugeot factory was a French company. And I do hope that it has been factored, the revival of that industry has been factored, so that we do not spend our money importing expensive SUVs abroad while we can develop our automobile industry. Secondly, in the areas of defense cooperation, security cooperation, I do hope that, and I strongly believe that business will not be as usual, where we know the historical antecedents of French bases in these our neighboring countries, and that it will be a strategic partnership that would develop our local defense industries, as well as providing us with the technology that we can menace of terrorism. Now, going forward, I strongly believe that the effort of Mr. President on this particular visit is commendable, because what is coming into Nigeria, based on what I have read, you are looking at about an investment portfolio of about 300 million euros, which would translate to trillions of naira to develop the agricultural sector, as well as the infrastructure sector. And the key, which I hope would have been captured, is the issue of energy, renewable energy. Because without energy, there's no way that Nigeria can industrialize. Energy is key and is central, and I hope it is within this bilateral agreement. Going forward, these agreements, I also hope that those who are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring the implementation of these agreements ensures that the right of concession will not be business as usual as was in the Francophone countries, but strategically that will provide the required skills for Nigerians. Of course, solid mineral exploration is quite capital intensive. You require machineries and equipment. So I hope it will be done with, in quote, backward integration, so that our miners, our local indigenous businessmen will actively participate. And of course, along the value chain, we will be able to add value and also export. In addition, the issue of, or the apprehension in some quarters, is that we hope that there will not be an Oliver Twist by trying to say that they are going to establish their bases, military bases in Nigeria. Because as I have said, if you look at history, of what has happened in the Francophone countries, I do not think it is quite attractive for us to swallow line, hook, and sinker the issue of military cooperation.
There are a lot of skeptics, talking about the, building of French bases in Nigeria. But I believe that is all rumors. But Actually, there's no smoke without fire in areas like that. Thank you so much for your, update on the president's visit and the bilateral relations between Nigeria and France. We've had a long history, of relationship between Nigeria and France. And this time around, these are two friends talking, two friends who understand the problems of Nigeria. And I believe as ECOWAS chair, Professor Adini, as ECOWAS chair, France is trying to bring, to have talks with Nigeria, maybe in a way the Sahel regions that have broken away from ECOWAS will be brought back to the negotiating table, because I believe there's still hope that they are not gone altogether, they are still there. So in this, as part of this state visit, can you give me your opinion on the immediate short and long-term gains of this visit? Because France is saying it's going to support Nigeria, in being a representation of Africa at the United Nations Security Council, which people think it's about time we have an African nation on the Security Council. So what do you think?
Absolutely. The gains, of course, like the previous speakers have said, the gains are multi-leveled, we can put them in different categories. Political gains, economic advantages, cultural. And we saw culture manifesting very clearly from that trip. Tunde Rahman was very explicit in his narration, how the president was received. And of course, we saw the tweets in broken English, we saw the music, we saw the reception.
We saw the speakers.
Yeah, we saw all of that,
Yeah.
and of course, do not forget, one of the values that France subscribes to is culture, tradition, discipline, style, civilization, and of course, in modern times, technology, going from their history, from the French Revolution, that stabilized them and made them a prosperous nation, even up to the economic prosperity that they have witnessed over the years. It doesn't matter that some other countries have also surpassed them, but they remain a world power and a country to reckon with in Europe. So their significance, there is a traditional one. And of course, it is countries like France that look for outside influence. That's why they were in Africa, and that's why they were dominant in the Sahel. That's why they were largely in bed, so to say, with Francophone countries. But now that interest is declining on account of the revolt of some of these countries, so to say. And that's where I wanted to say that, again, Nigeria will have to be tactical, a little bit careful in navigating that mix. Remember, these countries are severing ties with France, literally, and now we are befriending France. And again, we are trying to cut these countries to return to ECOWAS. So some deftness will be required here on the part of the president, who is the leader of ECOWAS. But I know that international diplomacy, of course, global changes, like the ambassador said, is very complex, and so many complexities, so many things are involved, requiring the need for you to be able to think on the go, deploy diplomacy, excel, as much as possible. We are moving away from the time of war. War has led us, conflict has not led to any kind of crisis resolution like we see in recent times, and like we are presently seeing between Russia and Ukraine, in the Middle East, and everywhere else there is conflict. War has never been the solution, even though the human psychology, often pushes nations to get down to the battlefield, but it has never been productive. Diplomacy has been, the most noble resort, and that's what we need in the circumstance. That's what we expect the Nigerian nation, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and particularly as ECOWAS chairman, to deploy, in this mix. And let's not forget also that traditionally, we are closest. Before now, we've been very close to Britain, Great Britain. And of course, it happens in different areas in terms of citizen diplomacy, the exodus of Nigerian citizens. They prefer Britain, if not Britain, the United States of America. France is not a regular preference, not because we do not like their style,
is it because
but because of language,
language,
right?
yes.
Now, another country that is different from an English-speaking country, France that is befriending us. To what extent is it going to pay us, That's another question we're going to ask for. We're going to be asking, maybe in the future. Do not also forget that the United States, is one of the greatest recipients, of Nigerian migrants, a prominent destination of migrating Nigerians, including Canada. These countries are traditionally disposed to us in different ways. in the way they receive our professionals, in the way they also come here as expatriates. And now they are all there looking at another country, a powerful country, trying to befriend us. How would they be feeling? Are we not going to be losing anything? And if we're going to be losing, how are we going to manage it? And do not forget, this also coming with the rise of BRICS, where we have been admitted as an observer, so to say. BRICS, is being seen, as a counter-influence to the Western influence, and yet we're trying to belong to BRICS, which is okay. Any country that is worth its salt should not ignore any bloc, consistent with what Professor Bola Kemi said many years ago, that medium powers, should have to emphasize themselves at different points. Otherwise, they will be left out of the international relations matrix. And Nigeria cannot afford that. So, first, on the account of the importance of the trip, very, very important, no doubt, because we're well recognized, at the level of reception, and there are prospects at the level of the many signatures that was all being put to paper. That's all right. But again, we should be mindful, finally, that we should be mindful of implementation, execution, follow up. I remember very clearly the president was in India. We had about 14, 16 billion pledges. Again, we need to be updated on that. In UAE as well, yes, we have seen the fruition, with the return of Emirates, Yeah, again, it was in Brazil. And of course, we expect him to be in some other countries too. These things are welcomed, right? They are good development. But of course, it will not be okay if they are just optics, things that just happened without us being mindful of implementation, execution, so that we can actually hit the 1 trillion economy that the president desires for us.
And taking 100 million Nigerians out of poverty.
Out of poverty.
Implementation is key, actually.
Yeah, say again?
Implementation is key, and that is what the problem we always have in this country.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Professor Adini. You have raised a lot of issues here concerning Nigeria's relationship with other countries as well, that we hope that this will not actually have a negative impact on the relationship with other countries, because just like Ambassador said, so new alliances are emerging. Let's go to Tunde Rahman now and find out. Tunde Rahman, you have listened to Professor Adeni's view concerning this relationship that is, building, a fresh and stronger relationship that is building, and also the problem of implementation. I want to find out from you. You have said that Nigeria signed several agreements, business with the banks and all that, in the banking sector, in the cultural sector and all that. So will this actually be well implemented, going by all the other signed agreements in the past with other countries? What steps do you think should be taken now to ensure that all these visits, they materialized?
Thank you very much. I'd like to take it from the sentiment, the fears expressed by the ambassador with respect to what has happened in the Francophone West African countries with respect to their relationship with France. I must say that I also share, those fears too. But my sense is that perhaps the French government has realized their mistakes, and they are trying to review and to restart all over in the new relationship with the English-speaking. I said this because, as we say, once bitten, twice shy. So I want to believe that there is going to be a change of heart. And two things are very instructive. Number one, in the agreement signed by the two leaders, it's also clear that they stated clearly that they emphasize their strategic autonomies, meaning that within the sphere of influence, within the areas of within the vocal areas of the two countries, their economy will be unquestionable. Number two, there was also this commitment to getting international bodies to ensure fair implementation of humanitarian laws, whether we are talking about Gaza, we are talking about Ukraine, and those flashpoints. And this is essentially the position of Nigeria. And I even want to say that perhaps it's even the position of Nigeria that was adopted. So those two things are very key. The matter of equal partners, the strategic autonomy, and the fact that what we as a nation, believe it with respect to situations around the world is also what, France believes in the case of Gaza, where we are saying that the two-state solution should be adopted, and the matter of Ukraine and all of that. So having said that, I also want to say that the ambassador, reminded me of what I even forgot about the two agreements that were signed between the Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edu, on behalf of Nigeria, and the Minister of Finance, Industry, and Cooperative of France, I think Mr. Hamad. So altogether, under that agreement, around the 300 million euro will be coming to Nigeria in the area of agriculture, in the area of oil and gas value addition. So that's a benefit that will come. And talking about culture, the French president demonstrated clearly that he had internalized our culture because he was in Nigeria, he lived in Nigeria, he worked at the French embassy in Nigeria, and he made very important, friends then. And he speak. Sorry? So in his speech, he even identified some of our cultural, and our global icons. He mentioned about the Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka and Femi Kuti, both of whom is described as global champions. So I'm saying clearly that in the few weeks, months, and years to come, there's also going to be investment coming to the Nollywood, to Nollywood, because of President Macron's belief that the Nollywood is doing a lot to Nigeria and needs to be strengthened. So, but all in all, the impression I have, and if you are here too, the impression you will have is that the commitment to implementation will be total. Why I say that is because President Tinubu brought along with him ministers and important government dignitaries in the areas of agreements. If we are talking about matters of security, matters of insecurity, the Minister of Defense was on ground. We are talking foreign issues, the Minister of Foreign Affairs was on ground. And during the visit also, the Minister of Solid Minerals also signed an agreement with the French government, in the area of furthering investment in the solid mineral sector. So if there's a need for immediate implementation, he was on ground and he will follow up. So following up will not be a problem because the ministers, top government officials that are saddled with responsibilities in this area were also on ground to take note and to follow up on things that need to be done. So overall, the success, the trip, like I said to you, was highly successful, and implementation had been factored into some of the processes that occurred, processes and decisions that were taken during the visit.
I just want to follow up. Go on. I mean, you talked about the issue of the France having some issues with some of his francophone countries, especially the countries in the Sahel region, and just like the ambassador said, and Prof, it might, some people have raised issues that it might create a kind of a strain between Nigeria and its neighboring countries. Or what's your take on that?
I think that that could also be explained by the fact of the respective strategic autonomies of each of the two countries. Nigeria has this relationship with these countries. Some of them are our neighbors, and I do not see Nigeria trying to further relations, which we have always built anyway with France. I don't see how that would be a problem, to these countries. They also have their power to determine who their friends will be, in terms of trade, in terms of relations, which is also what Nigeria has done. We share in their sentiment, but that does not mean that we cannot also make our own friends and further trade and relations, with our friends. However, the position of Nigeria as the head of ECOWAS is also clear on these issues. We identify, we sympathize with them, and we're going to also, help to further, externalize their views with respect to, what is important to them. But I do not think that will be a problem in any way. And President Macron recognized the importance of President Tinubu as the chairman of ECOWAS at this time. And he also want to leverage on that. Perhaps the president's intervention may also help, to streamline, relations between French and these other countries, that we're talking about, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger Republic, and all of that. Don't forget that this visit is something that everybody had looked for. This is the first time a Nigerian president would be having a state visit to France and be received in that way in more than 2 decades. So I do not think that will be a problem at all, because before now, like I said, Nigeria had always had relations with France. In fact, Nigeria is one of the strongest trading partners of France in Africa. So the issues are clear, and those issues will address in their own separately as the situation demands. Thank you.
I'm going to stay with you before we go to Ambassador Danladi there. Let's talk about the solid minerals sector. A memorandum of understanding has been signed, and we all know that sector is untapped in Nigeria. Nobody even knows the extent of the solid minerals we have in this country. In what area is France going to come in?
I think what the Minister of Solid Mineral is doing is also pivotal. He has identified the critical minerals, that need to be exploited and needs to be processed, and he has invited investment in these areas. Not only that, to police the mines, you have mining marshals now, and the mining marshals have been on ground, and they are doing a whole lot of work, and the Minister of Solid Minerals also drew a master plan, a comprehensive master plan on what should be done, which is being looked at. I'm aware that the entire program is before the National Assembly, talking about funding and all of that. So what is key is funding in that sector. I think the French government will be going to the sector with funds to be able to explore some of this, and parameters have been put in place. It's not that Nigeria will be exploited in this sector. For the first time in a long while, the Minister of Solid Mineral is putting in place clear processes. For instance, if you want to operate the artisans, there are licenses for them, unlike before. If investors are coming in, there are processes, to be followed. So those processes are there, and I imagine that what is essential is that the French government will be required, to come in with their funds, and the critical minerals have been identified, and the extent to which foreign investors can go have also been identified. So it's a positive development as I see it.
Well, thank you so much, Raban, for your contribution there. Because of time, we'll just take a parting shots from Ambassador Danladi concerning this, bilateral relationship. How do you think it will help to address the threats of this regional terrorism?
Well, I think the president set the pace, recalibration of our diplomatic strategy so that we can mobilize friendly countries towards combating the menace of terrorism. But let me say this quickly, that our neighbors have a critical role to play. And I must say that I was impressed I think about last week, around last week, when Chad was threatening to pull out from the multinational joint task force. A high power delegation was quickly dispatched to Chad, and I think that situation has been addressed. I would like to say a robust engagement, deeper understanding with our neighbors, to appreciate the challenging dynamics in the international arena, so that we will make progress. Again, I would like to see a situation whereby those countries that have exited ECOWAS will come back to ECOWAS, leveraging on the now new relationship with between Nigeria and France, as well as bringing all the implementing agencies to set a timeline, an evaluation mechanism, a monitoring mechanism to ensure that all agreements, bilateral agreements that have been signed, are actually implemented.
Okay, thank you so much, Ambassador Ladi. Prof, in 30 seconds, let's have your final thoughts. Yes.
International relations scholars, they make a distinction between vertical and horizontal relationship between nations. Vertical is when nations of the same economic and political power are relating. Horizontal is when it is unequal, when they are relating. Our own is that, however, I appreciate the excellent explanation of Tunde Rahman, you know, but in our own situation, we are relating with a country that is obviously more powerful than us. Against that background, it is very important for us to watch our back, even while we're trying to harness the benefits of the newfound relationship with France.
Okay, thank you so much. Professor Abiodun Adeni, Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, Bayes University. As usual, it's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
And from the U.S., Ambassador Odet Ladi, former Nigerian High Commissioner to Pakistan, also joined us. Thank you so much for your contribution to the conversation. And Dr. Tunde Rahman, who joined us via Zoom from France, thank you so much for giving us the highlights of the presidential state visit to France and what it means for Nigeria and French relations. Thank you so much. We'll take a break now. When we return, our second conversation on the 2024 Zuma Festival will begin. Don't go.
Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
My champs, they use energy at school.
Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support energy release.
Milo!
I think Amaka should just move out of the house. Yes.
No. Standing out of the house is not the right thing to do.
Oh, there you go again with your sentimental family stuff.
Baby, if our aim is to stop this affair, it is best achieved under our roof.
You do something terrible and you'll be acting innocent.
What are you going on about?
Don't ask me that question again. You couldn't even control yourself in the presence of our visitors.
What are you accusing me of, woman?
My son, I don't know how serious you are with my daughter. But there's something that needs to be done urgently before you move any further.
Anything, just anything, just say it. I'm ready to do anything.
There is a spell that needs to be removed.
A spell?
Family forever. the story of our lives.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You have to move from the point where you protect and defend your religion to a point where you also recognize the rights of the other person, of the other religion, and protect it. So if I am protecting my own territory and my own people and trying to emphasize their rights and protect their rights, I should also be thinking about how to protect the rights of the others.
Both Islam and Christianity recognize and defer to God, and both recognize the temporariness of the life of this world, and that ultimately we all go back to God for the day of reckoning, when everybody will render an account of his life on this temporary abode.
Watching Good Morning Nigeria, and it's time for our second topic of the day, and it's the 2024 Zuma Film Festival. And you know, it aims to empower the next generation of filmmakers, positioning the forefront of global cinematic growth and economic growth here in Nigeria. Dumola?
Yeah, thank you, Juma. Yeah, you're right. The festival provides a dynamic platform that bridges the gap between the local and global talents. So we have in the studio to discuss more on this Zuma Film Festival, Ali Nuhu, who is the Managing Director of Film Corporation. Ali Nuhu, you're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you, and good morning.
Good.
And we also have joining us here in the studio Mr. Brian Etok. He's the Director of Public Affairs, Nigeria Film Corporation. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And we also have Mrs. Halima Oyalade. She's the Zuma Film Festival Director, Head of Abuja Office, and of the Nigerian Film Corporation. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
At
Good
least
morning.
I have another woman to talk to. I'm not alone.
Yeah, gender sensitive.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the managing director of the Zuma Film Festival. And you know, a lot of people have asked me, what exactly is Zuma Film Festival? What does it represent? And how does it promote cultural exchange and understanding?
Okay, yeah, the Zuma Film Festival is actually a platform we decided to provide for the stakeholders in the movie industry, where they get to meet their global counterparts. You know, it's a platform where you meet with people, exchange ideas, you know, have collaborations and partnerships. And there is also a provision for funding opportunities. So this helps our filmmakers to grow, because they get to learn and understand new techniques of filmmaking. They get to understand how the film terrain is across the globe and how people operate.
So this is your first, you know, as MD of the Film Corporation of Nigeria, this is your first Zuma Festival as head. So what are you bringing? What innovation? What's new, actually?
So many.
Let's hear it.
You know, I am from this industry, and I know how the industry has been thriving over the years and some of the problems, you know, like funding opportunities, you know, the technical standards generally, the capacity. So we have a lot of programs that are outlined, like the capacity building programs, where we need to bring filmmakers together and make sure they are up to date with latest technology. Secondly, providing opportunities where they get to meet funding partners, have discussions and see if there's a way forward. Give them an opportunity to have a pitching session if you have a very interesting subject to treat in any project that you're working on. You could, you know, talk about it, pitch it to like financial institutions and organizations that could be interested. So that's part of the things we're looking to do. Then because we have an institution under us, that's the National Film Institute, where we have series of courses that we do from, you know, the diploma courses, the vocational kind of training we do. We have the BA in Film Arts and also the Masters in Film Culture and Archival Studies. That's another platform where we engage filmmakers and upcoming talents just so we can better the sector. So all these things are there for us. Then we're also looking at digital literacy. You know, it's very, very important for the industry, especially when you look at the way technology is going, the AI, and that's why the theme of this year's edition is Digital Renaissance, Embracing the Future.
Okay. Doctor, so the Zuma Film Festival, you have a school where you train your upcoming artists, right?
Definitely.
Okay, let me come to Madame Oyelade now, and I know that, you know, the purpose of all this film and all Nollywood and all that is to promote the culture and also to preserve it. So what exactly what role is Zuma playing actually in shaping countries' cultural identity?
All right. So I would say that, you know, like you rightly said, film is a major tool in shaping culture. There are certain countries that have used it so effectively, like the US, that it has defined the country. Most of us, our perception of that country is simply based on the movies that we've watched about that. And so that is where we're putting, like, at Zuma Film Festival, we want to bring the minds of the Nigerian filmmakers back to the fact that you have your own stories to tell that are authentic, that the world wants to hear. You know, like we say, it's your story is always better when it's told by you, because you know it, you understand it. And gradually we're seeing that, we're seeing a global acceptance of our own films and our own stories, and that is like exporting our own culture, excuse me, around the world.
Okay.
You know, using that platform. So at Zuma platform, especially because Nigerian Film Corporation is a government institution, so we're very conscious of that, very conscious of the films, you know, that are selected for screening, you know, and how they help to promote culture and help to just tell the world this is who we are, and this is what we have, this is what we can do, and that we're great people, like we say.
We're great and happy people. Well, let's bring in Mr. Brian Etok into this conversation as the Director of Public Affairs, you know, the Nigerian Film. What's the support base like, you know, in terms of sponsors and marketing of the festival to local and foreign audiences, and of course investors, because the creative industry it's raising the bar all the time in Nigeria. So what is the reaction like from people outside the country, you know, towards our cinematography?
Thank you very much for that. I want to believe that over the years, just like Halima said, we want to position Nigeria through the lenses, you know, and we feel that we've been doing that over the years, and we will keep doing it until we really get there. And the brand, the Zuma brand, is being upped every other time. And this year, like the MD said, Digital Renaissance, Embracing the Future, signpost the fact that we must also move with global trend in what's happening, you know, in terms of AI technology deployment in filmmaking and all of those, digital distribution and all of that. So we feel that we've gotten there, and we've had so much of support. The support base is increasing in terms of quality support base. And of course, the Federal Capital Territory Administration is a major partner in this journey, because Abuja was designated the official host city. Of course, we've had international and local partners. We've had conversation with AfriExim, Bank of Industry, we've had with private organizations in Istanbul, we have our German partners, we have some partners as well, country partners. We have the Jamaican, we have the Swedish, we have the Spanish, we have the US. They are also partners in this journey, and so it's been that good. But I think it could be better in moving forward.
It could be better.
Yeah.
So let me just ask you, what opportunity does it offer to filmmakers in Nigeria? I mean, especially the young ones, the upcoming ones, the industry professionals. What opportunities does it offer them?
Well, like the MD said, the programs are deliberately designed to enhance capacity building and knowledge, and then promote the filmmaking business, because we feel that outside of the cultural aspect, there's a business angle to all of this, because it's money, and that is the new oil. The creative economy is the new oil. So this is one platform that we are creating these opportunities for our filmmakers and even upcoming ones to see the opportunities that are in filmmaking. And we cannot go all alone. Filmmaking is a global thing now, and we feel that especially when it comes to digital distribution, it's beyond boundaries. So we must actually engage and participate within the ecosystem, the creative ecosystem, the world ecosystem. Nigeria must find its rightful place and dominate that space. And that is what we are using the Zuma Film Festival to promote.
Beautiful. Let's bring in Alinu into this conversation. You had Tunde Rahman, I'm sure you were listening to him when he talked about, the creative industry, Nollywood and youth-focused, initiative being one of the high points of the presidential visit to France. So how are you going to key into that now?
Talking about that, our mother ministry just launched the Destination 2030, which is a platform that provides for, the teaming creatives, to come on board, key in, display what they have, and in turn, that platforms is targeted at making Nigeria become the center of creativity in Africa. Of course, when you talk about the creative sector, especially film and music in Africa, everyone talks Nigeria. You can see what our music is doing globally, and our films too. Well, the films have the opportunity to be able to do even more than what the music sector is doing, but then the backing is needed, funding is needed. So that's the platform we have that creatives can key in, and we make sure we get our space, just like Mr. Brian said.
Okay, all right. Okay, madam, let me just ask you this question. How do you identify talents, in the industry? How do you identify, promote, and encourage talents in the industry?
Okay, so let me make it specific to Zuma.
Okay, yes.
And let me even specific to this edition. So in this edition, we have 3 platforms for young people. The first one is our regular Imagine Talents. That's what we call it. So we bring them together, and this year Canon is supporting us, and for the next 4 days, beginning this morning, they're going to be trained. So they've been selected from people, either they're studying film in a film school or something related, and the whole idea is to, within these 4 days, expose them to new things, new tech, and that's why Canon is coming in. They're bringing equipment, new equipment, showing them, and within these 4 days, they will shoot films, and that's from script to screen. They will write the script, they'll do, and so in that process, we're beginning to identify people that are good at what they do. And like the MD said earlier on, they have an opportunity to pitch, like on the last day in the morning during the producers roundtable. We have producers, we have financiers, we have all that. And the whole idea is to bring some of them that have that we've identified during this process, and we filtered out as, okay, these ones have promise, and they have a project they want to work on, and they now pitch. We intend also to train like a pitching session for them, like just to help them know how to pitch. And so they pitch to this group of people that can now help them. And we've talked to some of our partners.
When you say pitch, what does it mean?
Okay, to sell a project, to sell,
yes, we have listeners there.
Yes, okay, to sell a project or an idea. And so from there, they can get funding. That's what we want, to get a project that will get funded. somebody among the producers and directors to take on these young people and say, okay, I'll mentor you through this process of producing this film. And then Canon is now ready to also provide the equipment for them to shoot that film. So by next year, Zuma, we have somebody coming up with a film that came out because of Zuma, and those films can also go, we can now help them place them in different parts of the world. We also have the US embassy supporting us. They brought in a cinematographer, and she's already in Nigeria. They begin this month. This is a different class, and she's also taking them, you know, intensively for the next 4 days. And then we have this High Definition Studios, a company that is in partnership with the EU, also doing a program for young people also within Zuma. So those are 3 platforms doing similar things and giving different Nigeria. And what we do is some of these processes, like the EU one, the US, we threw out, we made it open to the public. And so even from the selection, when you read the forms there, how they sign up and all that they say, we now have a process of identifying talent. And okay, this one looks like someone that will do well, they understand what they're doing, you know, they have good ideas and all of that.
Okay. You know, it's about time. I remember when we were growing up, there was, you know, something like this, you know, happened. They would go to school, pick up students to just stage play and all that. Now let's bring in Mr. Echok into this conversation. Can you tell us, the festival is coming up soon, and who will be part of it? What kind of category will be there? Who will be participating? Who will be the guest of honor? Who will become a venue, and so on? Let's get it.
The festival is already ongoing. We started yesterday.
Okay.
The opening ceremony at the Jabi Lake Mall, and it goes on today. Just like Halima has said, all of these programs will be running back to back, and some of them simultaneously within the same venue. And we are operating from Chida Event Center in Jabi, and that will be it. Then, of course, we are expecting Nigerian filmmakers to take this opportunity, because attendance and participation is free, although some of those other components of the program require that you register online. At least let's have a data of who is coming, and then we can now profile and then even help you to, you know, escalate your potentials and your ideas. So we require some minimal online registration, but people can still come to the venue and register right there and participate. And so we are also expecting, of course, like she said, film producers, filmmakers, people who have ideas, because the essence of this enablement is to create this ambience and space for Nigerians in particular to take advantage, you know, of what government is doing through the Nigerian Film Corporation to up the game, and then create an enabling environment within the creative ecosystem for them to promote their ideas. So we are expecting students, lecturers, filmmakers, the value chain, producers, directors, actors, of course financiers, because we know that some people have the money, they want to make sure they invest in, you know, this creative space. So that is it again. And then we also have, of course, policymakers, because they have to be part of the whole conversation to see within their space, you know, what they can think with or what they can do to help the ecosystem, the creative ecosystem, also grow. Of course, I will leave the MD to speak on the highest, point of some of the programs in terms of the annual film lecture. So I don't know whether.
Okay.
Okay. So we have the annual film lecture that will be happening. That's on Tuesday. That's tomorrow, and it's one of the high points of the event, because the keynote speaker will be the vice president, and we have so many dignitaries that will be coming from different countries. Like we have the South African Minister for Culture, the First Lady of Sierra Leone, So, and many other heads of film commissions from some African countries will be present. Then we have some of the veterans from the industry. They're all going to be there. Then the closing ceremony, which of course will have our Minister, Barrister Hannatu Musawa, the Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy. Then the Minister of State for the FCT, and some dignitaries, some of the celebrities will also be present. Aside that, screenings are on for some of the films that were selected from the entries. So people can feel free, go to Jabi Mall and watch these films.
Okay, I want to ask, I mean, you've talked about, I want to ask what opportunity does it offer when it comes to collaboration with your international counterparts?
You see, the opportunity it provides is, I think from what Mr. Brian just said, when filmmakers come there, for instance, the pitching session, you know, some of these international collaborators are there and they could pick interest. And when they pick interest, they will go to any extent to promote whatever content that comes out of the compositions around there. So these are some of the opportunities. Then funding opportunities, of course, because there are certain, for instance, most of the people that have themes that are social related issues in the society, like the problems we have, there are some of these our counterparts that are interested in such kind of subjects, and they go to any extent to fund these projects and push the projects globally. They take them to international film festivals like the Berlinale, you know, the Cannes, and all the other very big platforms that we have.
Okay, the film industry have grown over time, and you were part of from the very beginning, what you grow in the business of filmmaking. So it's like putting a square peg in a square hole when you were appointed. Now, people have been advocating that there should be a film city, just like we have in Hollywood and all the, you know, though there was a lot of brouhaha when it wanted to happen in Kano, but are you going to look into that, to have a film city where films can be shot on site, on stage, without going to anybody's house to beg for it?
Yeah, you know, that's a very good idea. Having film villages or, you know, film studios across the country is one thing that will really, you know, help the sector. Yeah, because most of the times, one of the problems that filmmakers come across is when they're on the lookout for locations. Some people are not very friendly, or sometimes you even shoot in locations that are given to you by people, and there are some
conditions,
external aside conditions, external, you know, objects that keep disturbing your activity as you're shooting. So it's good that we have such film villages, but I think we have some private-owned film villages. For instance, Kuli Afolayan has one. Bolali, Austin Peters, there's one in Kwara State. You know, a couple of people are beginning to do that on their own, but the government on its path is trying to do that. We have the Abuja Film Village, right? As you're driving into Abuja, that's one there. Then the Nigerian Film Corporation is, well, it's still under the carpet because we're discussing with a couple of governments to build film villages in about 2 different states.
Okay, Madam, let me just ask you, what's your support base in terms of maybe sponsorship and advertising and all that?
Okay. For sponsorship and partnership, I would say the FCT is our major partner. They really came on board, I think, 3 years ago as major partners and host city. You know, recognizing the fact that, and this is something that over the years the NFC has tried to do with different state governments. Finally, FCT bought into that idea, and so they are partners, and they support us. You know, they provide a huge amount of support for the festival to go on. And then, of course, like I think the MD has said earlier, and Mr. Brian has said, there are also, we have different partners. Like we have this group, Chocolate City. They came on board and they're doing like a huge media partnership for us. So that's part of the support that they're giving us for Zuma International Film Festival. Then we have other organizations, you know, like banks, foreign missions. Like we talked of the US, the Spanish, the MD has mentioned them earlier, you know, that come on board. So sometimes some of them may not necessarily be monetary support, but they come run programs or they fly in resource persons. Like this year, the US, the Spanish, they've flown in resource persons, all expense paid, we don't have to do anything. And these people come and, you know, run master classes, engage with our own people, create connections and collaborations, and, you know, business begins and, you know, co-productions happen and all of that. The Jamaican Film Commissioner, I said, like the MD, I said, so many of them, so many countries also coming in, you know, to support what we're doing. And then even industry people that are talented. Like this morning, we have a film finance masterclass by Michael Orett. He's a film finance expert. You know, so we have those kind of experts that come in, you know, and providing their own intellect, their own experience, people that have been in the industry for long, running master classes with the young people and also with the filmmakers. We're creating platforms for discussions, and all of Netflix is one of our major partners, looking at the theme and all the fact that they are a digital platform, you know, where people distribute their films. So they also have been a major support for this thing.
And NTA
and
too.
NIDA,
And
yes,
NTA
NIDA.
too.
And NTA, oh yeah.
And NTA
is a major. Oh yes, for the last. The best for last.
Yes,
it will stick.
You're a good PR man. You're a good PR man. Now let's talk about publicity.
Yes.
You know, we're hearing about some of these things here now. So how have you been able to, you know, educate the public on this film festival? I mean, inform the public that it's taking place. What kind of medium did you use? And how are you? And you know, Nigerians are natural actors, whether you like it or not. Natural singers, yes. You know, we have a passion for show business. So what are you doing to
Don't expose me now.
yeah, passion. You know, and so what are you doing to bring, you know, talents on board? Because there are some talents who feel, I might not have an opportunity because I don't have a godfather in the film industry to bring me out and all that. And we hear a lot of, you know, issues coming, emanating how actors or actresses become stars. So how are you encouraging people who have talent to come out and showcase it?
Thank you very much. What we've been trying to do, or what we've been doing, is to deploy our informational tools through the traditional media, direct mailing, and then of course through the broadcast medium. And we've engaged with industry on industry platforms, because there are selected platforms for actors, guilds, and all of that. So we share our mails and share some information there. Of course, we also have, you know, dominated at least some space within the social media angle, from, you know, putting our flyers, some jingles, some skits, and engaging. And of course, we tag these young people. They pick and then reshare. So we've been having some inquiries. I saw your number. Can we? And because attendance is free at this. This is a time we don't even charge fee for anything like other film festivals. So because we are driving to get somewhere, and we are feeling that at some point, maybe as we go forward down the road, maybe we begin to charge some minimal fees for certain things. But for now, because it's government-driven festival targeted at developing the ecosystem, we may not be able to make those charges now, because we want a situation where Abuja will be like Cannes or will be like Berlinale. Someday, the whole state or the whole FCT should shut down because there's a festival holding. And that's what happens in other climes. In Toronto, in Burkina Faso, when we had the FESPACO, everybody wants to go somewhere. So we are believing that that's principally one of the reasons FCT came on board, because we want to make sure that the auxiliary and other factors that will follow hosting the festival is enormous. The economic factors, tourism, hotel, and all those things. So that is just it. Then, of course, we rely on the partnership and the benevolence of the NTA. And it's been doing a wonderful job. Of course, we have some other private media organizations that are helping us, that are coming in. They say, look, do this, come. We'll give you free platforms, you know, and all of that, appearances and all. So we are grateful to all those media organizations and those individuals who are helping us. We can't do it alone. This is a Nigerian project.
Yes.
So
it's a Nigerian
so everybody,
all right.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
And all of us are actors.
I want to, okay. You want to add?
Yes, I just wanted to add something about the upcoming talents. You know, people keep talking about, I want to come into the industry, but I don't have connections.
People
you
like
see,
us.
Coming into the industry.
Yes, people like us.
Coming into the industry is not about connections. It's about, you know, what you have to bring on the table as an individual. You know, if you're talented in whatever field and you feel you have the capacity.
Is talent enough?
Yes, talent is enough. Because a lot of people broke out because they were talented, not because they knew anybody in the industry. You can mention names.
Okay, as we round up this conversation, would you say that the Zuma has actually achieved its goal?
Yeah, over the years, the Zuma has, we might be having a couple of issues, due to funding, I'll say, but then I think it's not easy for a festival, of this nature to be running for this number of years. And with this year's edition, what the reviews we've gotten so far is that, yes, it's getting better. And we hope to do better in the future.
Yes. And on that note, Alinu, Managing Director, Nigeria Film Corporation, thank you so much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria. It's been a pleasure hosting you. And Mr. Brian Etok, Director, Public Affairs, Nigeria Film Corporation, thank you.
Thank you
for acknowledging NTA. And Mrs. Halima Oyelade, Zuma Film Festival Director, Head of Abuja Office, Nigeria Film Corporation. Thank you so much for balancing the equation here.
Happy.
Well, that's Good Morning Nigeria. Thanks for staying with us. I am Ademola Adeoye. Do have a lovely day.
And I am Juma Yusuf. Watch out for another interesting edition tomorrow.